Hi, I'm Yuri,
And I'm Ina.
and this is Podcast Uncensored.
Поїхали!
Yeah, right. So on today's episode, we have
A special guest?
a very special guest.
Yes.
I would say. She's a 22-year-old volunteer who, in total, spent about 4 months in the East.
In the past year?
In the past year.
And she's also a very, very good friend of ours. She's a childhood friend, and we're very glad to have her here today with us. Hi, Diana.
As you told, a 22-year-old volunteer. Diana is my name, but you can call me. No, wait.
You can call me whatever, right?
No. Just
Sounds weird.
Yeah, call me Diana. Yeah, friends with those guys. They're amazing. Almost said I love you.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah, we would definitely censor that.
Okay, so let's begin our interview. And as we already mentioned, you are a volunteer, and you've been in it for quite a while, especially since the beginning of the full-scale war, right?
Yes.
So please tell us a little bit about how you actually got into volunteering.
So that was very quick. It happened very quickly.
As for all of us.
Exactly. Like we went to bed on February 23rd as normal people, and we woke up on February 24th and became volunteers. Most of us, I hope. So on February 24th, when the full-scale invasion started, at that time I was abroad. I was studying in another country in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning of the full-scale invasion, I was on that side of the border, so to speak. And
Okay.
for the first 2 months, 2 months after the like massive war outbreak, I was volunteering as a person from abroad. So my main duties were collecting humanitarian aid from locals, and for the first month, I think we were working on delivering that aid to the border with Poland, because there were many people there at that time, and a lot of them were escaping without bringing much stuff with them. So that was our primary purpose and the primary goal. And then also an interesting thing I was doing is I was translating the documents of pregnant women who were fleeing the country and who were so close to giving birth to their child.
Oh, wow.
So they were escaping to Europe, and they were supposed to give birth in Europe, but then all their documentation and about their kids and stuff, it was in Ukrainian. So
Oh, man.
yeah,
That's quite a process.
I accidentally got myself into it, and actually, I would tell you,
Accidentally?
yeah, because somebody was like,
Elaborate.
Yeah, we created like a group chat on Facebook with all the Ukrainian students, and so they were like throwing some stuff. We're like, can you help with this? Can you help with that? And then one girl asked, like, can somebody translate these documents? She's like a pregnant woman. She's fleeing the country. She's going to Netherlands, and she needs them to be translated. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I work as a translator. Why wouldn't I do it? And then I opened these documents, like, that's quite a different English, I know. But yeah, somehow I figured it out. I was Googling so much, and probably for the first 3 weeks after that, I could tell you a lot about a birthing person or a process, you know.
I guess your Google search history would be pretty interesting too.
If my mom saw that, she would be very concerned. Yeah, but I forgot everything now, so it's okay.
It's fine.
That's how it works.
Google didn't.
But I cleared my search history, you know.
Oh.
So you're a smart person, right?
You're a smart person.
Smart one, okay.
Yeah, so this is what I was doing, and then I graduated in April of 2022, so 2 months after the full-scale invasion, and right after, so I collect my diploma, I gather all my stuff, and I leave, and I say goodbye, and I'm like, I'm going to Ukraine.
Okay.
I came back home and stayed here ever since, and forever I will.
That's cool. I just wanted to ask, like, did you ever consider staying abroad? Like, you had a choice to return or to stay abroad. Like, you could move.
You could continue your study
wherever.
or
Yeah, you
move
could.
any place
Yeah,
in the world.
especially in
like-
Ukraine, is when you get out of Ukraine to study elsewhere.
Yeah.
People are like, she's gonna stay there. Like she's gonna move out. She's not coming back. That's what I heard for all my 4 years of studying.
Yeah.
People are like, well, I guess you're not coming back, do you? I was
Yeah.
like, I do plan to come back. Like, why would you say that?
Why are you kicking me out of my country?
Yeah, well, especially after the start of the full-scale invasion, it was, in my position, and from the people's point of view, that was the least logical thing I could do. You know, like you
Yeah.
are abroad, you're
Yeah,
safe
sure.
already. Why would you come back?
yeah.
My parents considered me staying there. I did
Of
not.
course.
Because
Did you tell that about your opinion? Like, was there any dialogue where they were
yeah,
like,
sure. Well, so my dad's plan was like, I was like, Dad, I'm finishing this university and I'm going back home. And he was like, okay, well, yeah, sure, you can come. Like, stay here over the summer while you look for the job there in Europe. You can help people somehow here because you have to experience the war a little bit. So you stay here
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
summer, and then,
And then you leave,
once,
right?
yeah, and then you
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
for the job in September.
but Mom said no.
Mom was like, she's not going back. No, my mom
Oh, yeah.
was kind of supporting this idea, but she my parents still support the idea of me leaving somewhere deep in their hearts, you know? They support everything I do.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll
But
get
you're
to
doing
that.
just the contrary, right?
We will get to that.
Yeah, but at that point, I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah,
no idea
sure.
what
I
exactly.
don't, were there like people in your people surrounding you there abroad that were telling like, you're crazy, why are you going there, there's war, like, or are you sure you want to go there? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
a lot
not,
of
it's
people actually.
insane.
Yeah.
How did people react there abroad?
Just the way you said that. Like,
I know something.
Yeah, they weren't saying it straightforward, like, you're crazy. They were like, why would you do that? That was one of the most common phrases I heard from them, or questions. But I still came back.
You still came back. The least logical thing to do, and you still came back.
Yeah, but still, you know, that's from the point of that's from people's point of view.
Yeah. But
Right.
from your point of view,
But from my point of view, as a Christian who has a Ukrainian citizenship,
I mean, we are talking about her point of view,
yeah,
right? Right?
yeah,
So,
my POV.
probably.
yeah, your POV.
But you know, your point of view doesn't matter. Mama will tell you how to live your life. Okay.
Because I live like in my mom's simulation, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works, you know.
Okay, so when you returned, how was life? Like, it's not like you've started helping military right away. You.
There's still a way to get into.
Yeah, yeah.
It took me
What-
a
what-
year to start working with them.
Okay, so it's a pretty long time. Mm-hmm. So what were you doing during this year?
So okay, let's establish that. I start volunteering on February 25th, 2022. I graduate university in end of April 2022, and I come back home first days of May.
Sure.
So, wait, what was I doing? Oh no, hold on. a
You know,
second.
We're getting old.
Full scale war does this thing. You start forgetting everything, like everything that happened, or
Yeah.
you start to
Ooh, it's not that you forget, but you've
It
been
just-
through so much stuff. that
timeline is so messed up.
It
Yeah,
just
right.
mixes. It just
It's-
mixes with everything else.
Oh,
It just
Something that happened 3 months ago seems like it was 2 years ago. Something that happened 5 years ago seems like it was like a
happened
month ago.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah.
like,
What's going on? Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wait a minute.
and
This
right
ain't
after
right. I'm sorry.
meme time.
Yeah,
It's
meme time.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
So what was the what was I doing here? So right after I came back, I got myself involved in all of the stuff that my church was doing. So since we have our own church building, it was very logical that we were accepting a lot of refugees to stay at our church
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Sure.
somebody had to stay for one night just to, you know, like a they would
Passing
escape
by.
from Kyiv or Kharkiv.
So they were like basically passing by, but they had
Yeah,
to stay
they just
the night.
they just had to stay somewhere for a night,
Yeah.
and then early in the morning they would leave to the border with Poland
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Belarus.
Better
No. We didn't do that. If we had some suspicious people, we would turn them in. So
Yeah.
The right thing to
we
do.
are responsible
Citizens.
soldiers. I wanted to say, and soldiers of God.
Soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soldiers of God.
That's true.
So I was working with refugees inside the country.
Mm-hmm.
So by May,
Yeah.
by May, the flow of refugees decreased,
Mhm.
and we got like a group of refugees that were staying here in Rivne because their houses were destroyed, or they kind of started to managing their life here, and so they were like, well, life is very unstable there. Life is pretty stable here, so why would we
Sure.
go somewhere? And of course, there were many people who, and still are many people who live in the dormitories,
Mm-hmm.
so not in their own apartments and stuff. And most of such refugees that stayed inside the country are older people
Mm-hmm.
who don't have any means to get abroad and live there.
Yeah.
And some of them don't even have the international passport, which they need in order to cross
Sure.
the border.
Or they don't even want to leave their own land. You know, it's
Yeah.
always a difficult part
Well,
with
it's
elderly people.
Yeah,
to
because
leave their,
most of
their
those
land.
people are the ones who were born and who were raised and who grew up and worked and lived most of their life in Soviet Union.
Yeah, and maybe haven't even left the country ever.
So
Some of them probably never left their city or something.
or region, yeah.
Or a
we
village.
actually had many people who never got out of their, well, maybe not their city, but their
Region,
Their
right?
region,
In the
oblast.
region.
Oblast, yeah. So that's very interesting because you know it's
That's a
strange.
whole
That's strange
different
for me.
conversation.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but
I guess we should then move on.
Yeah.
Let's move to the point where we're getting closer to you starting to work with military.
And if you're interested about the topic, please write down in the comments so we could see it and actually
Yeah.
make an episode. We'll make a whole episode if you're interested.
Yeah,
About
I
the
have a lot to
refugees.
say about the locals.
Okay.
That would be censored too.
Yeah.
Her winking at the camera, it concerns me.
I'm flirting with the viewer.
Oh my god. I'm definitely cutting that out. Okay.
So
Okay.
you are
So okay, after you've returned and you've started to help with refugees in your church, what was next? What was next for you?
So the next stop was summer of 2022.
Summer of 22. Yeah.
Summer of 2022 is when I got a chance to become a tougher lady.
Okay.
Because I went to
Strong and
Kyiv,
independent.
yeah.
feminism.
Oh no.
So I got a chance to have a couple of trips with a team from my church to Kyiv region, to such cities as, well, mostly it was Borodyanka, but then also we went to Bucha, Irpin, Hostomel. Well, those major cities that which you Google, you will understand what they mean.
Yeah.
And so our main purpose there was to help rebuild the houses that were destroyed. So men were mostly doing the construction work,
Yeah.
and me and two other ladies, we were doing the kind of cleaning and preparing the house for a renovation job. So, for example, we were working on one man's house, and a tank hit his house, like the roof of his house, and so there was like a big hole there, and the water and the rain and it started going inside the house.
That's
so we had to clean the rooftop first, and then men came and started to cover the roof.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
And then, another thing we were doing is that there was a man whose house completely burned out. But the interesting thing, which you probably will never think about, is the way it burned down. It wasn't like a missile attack or something. So the Russians were in Borodyanka,
Right.
and they decided to put the house on fire just for fun.
Wow.
Oh,
So-
I mean, nothing new under the sun,
Yes.
about
And so,
Russians. I mean, that's
this man, he was in the basement while that was happening because Borodyanka was
Wow.
under occupation. So
Yeah,
Russians
sure.
were walking
yeah,
down the
Freely,
streets and like feeling
roaming
like they
there.
own this land and stuff.
yeah,
Mhm.
And so he
destroying it.
was
That's what they mainly do.
So he was in the basement and he just heard those loud noises which you hear when the house is in the fire.
yeah,
And so he ran up and he saw that his house was on fire. He went to the rooftop of his house on the ladder to get some stuff out of
Oh.
there as quickly as possible because
Okay.
it was burning from
Yeah,
the ground.
Okay.
okay.
He wasn't able to collect much, but then he was just every time he would start talking about his house. He was never able to finish because tears and
Yeah, sure.
completely emotionally destroyed.
Oh,
Makes
yes.
sense.
So we were working in his house, and while it was burning, one wall, like brick wall, it wasn't burned down. It just fell, So everything burned down, but this wall was not able to handle.
Yeah, yeah.
But it
The
so it
fire.
like
Yeah.
So it helped with fire a little bit.
Oh, well, yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
Put out the fire, right?
Yeah, and well, a lot of bricks were saved, because they weren't burned down. They were.
So you could
fell.
reuse them.
Yes, we
Yes.
could reuse
Yeah.
them.
That's cool.
That's actually what me and the ladies were doing. We were
How much women was there?
like 3.
3. She said she mentioned that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just okay.
So I
sorry,
was-
I just missed that.
There was I was 20 years old at the time,
Mhm.
and then 2 other ladies, one in her 40s and the other one in her 50s.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
So I remember working on this house because I was sitting there under hot sun in the summer.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was July, and
Oh, yeah.
that summer, same as this summer, was very very hot. And so I'm sitting under the sun, and I sit there with a. It's okay.
With the axe.
Axe.
Ah, yeah. So you know how the bricks they stick together with cement.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in order to save the bricks, you have to get rid of cement around them.
Yeah.
And so
Break it
you,
off.
you kind of hit the cement.
Yeah.
This tiny little line in between cement and the building block.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you hit it and then it just falls off.
Okay.
So what
so-
was I doing with the axes? I was doing that.
Just cleaning.
Cleaning the for
Yeah.
reuse.
Yeah. Recycle, reduce, reuse.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And so-
Environment.
So we all are working.
Yeah.
The house is completely burned down.
Right.
I'm sitting there kicking those bricks with an axe, and I'm like, a few months ago, I was graduating from an international university. I was studying abroad. I'm a Bachelor of Humanities. I have an international diploma. I can work anywhere in the world.
Right. Right.
Here I am.
But I'm sitting on a burned down house somewhere in Ukraine, kicking off the brick walls. And you know what? I did not regret it a single moment.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome.
That's cool. I just want to clarify. I guess we should clarify a few things, because we're talking about summer 2022, and a lot of people abroad just did not get the thing with these cities like Borodyanka and Hostomel and Irpin and others being rebuilt just like 5 months into the war. Like a lot of them thought that it was all fake and everything, because they were like, look, these buildings are completely fine, and like, how could we possibly already be rebuilding the houses of people?
After a few months of
After a
full-scale
few
war
months
and
of
these
the,
terrible events, in that
Right.
region.
Well, the thing is, which many people ask, who have not experienced war and never thought of how it happens, the
How
inside
things
process
go.
of war. Yeah, a lot of people get this idea is that when there is war in your country, everything stops, and like
Right.
all you do is like hide in a bomb shelter. You don't go to
Yeah.
work. You don't have food. You don't have electricity. Like you're completely
Like a
cut
Second
off.
World War, something
Yeah.
like
Yeah, Second
Yeah.
World War, when it was
Half
so
society.
global.
Yeah.
right.
For now,
It's
it's only like happening on the territory of one country. In our case, in case of a
Okay.
Russian-Ukrainian war. So I think the thing is, what I like about many Ukrainians is that we don't focus on how do
On
I
the
say that
bad
correctly?
things.
Not that we don't focus on bad. Yeah, you could state it that way, because like, okay, those cities were in a harsh reality for a
For quite some time.
for a
Yeah.
while, yes, but then they are liberated now, and there are people who live there and who will live there,
And they
And
want to
who-
come back
and
because
they
who,
they
who
need
who need a roof on above their head.
yeah, and so they need conditions.
Yeah.
Right.
They need, so like we think about the people who are alive.
Yeah.
We think about working on the future, not thinking and grieving all of the time about our past.
Right.
we
So
have like time for that as well, but it's not all of the time. We
Yes.
can't afford that, you know. We can't simply afford that, like grieving all the
Not
time.
now.
It's
Yeah, not now. That's the harsh reality we
Of the
live
war,
in right
yes.
now. That
Yes. You gotta keep
it-
living.
yeah, we
There's
gotta,
no way around it.
gotta keep moving forward,
Yeah,
at least until we win.
please please do continue your thoughts until they're not gone. You know.
but I think that's a great clarification of why
Mhm.
like we
Yeah.
think about people who are alive and who are here and who are now, whom we can serve, with whom we will live after we win,
Right.
with whom we will be rebuilding the country.
And were you able to actually rebuild some like houses, renew them so people could come back, or how many? If you
I think in the summer of 2022, our church team alone,
Yes.
so apart from other many
Yeah.
people
Right.
from all over Ukraine who were helping with that.
yeah.
So our church helped rebuild 20 houses.
Wow.
Wow.
So can you imagine how other adding other teams and
Yeah,
other
yeah,
churches
yeah.
and other volunteer organizations who were doing that?
I mean that's how they got rebuilt pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just the sheer amount of people
Yes.
working.
A lot of people tuned in
And that
financially as well,
Yeah.
and physically.
That's that's the wildest thing about war and about harsh conditions, about just bad things in general. They bring people together, and
Yeah.
it was pretty shocking for us and for I guess everyone how well the Ukrainians have teamed up,
Yeah.
because that was just that was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I mean, we saw a similar thing in 2000, end of 2013
Yeah.
and beginning of 2014 when Maidan happened,
But-
and then the war began,
Right,
which
in
actually began in
2014.
2014, and it's been
yeah, but
going on for
that's
8
just a
years.
whole another scale.
Because I think now the full-scale invasion impacted more people. And
Of course.
it still
Right.
impacts
Yes.
more
Well,
people.
that's
That's
why
how
it's
it works.
full scale invasion.
That's how it works. Like
Yes. So
a bigger challenge, a bigger resistance, to that,
Mhm.
or like more people are up.
exactly. That's a great quote. You can find it in the description.
Well, link it down below.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to type it in and live it
Or
in.
we're gonna
We're
make
adding
a
some
reel
more
with
jobs to our
that,
friend.
so you could
Or-
quote us.
Yeah, sure, we could.
Yeah.
We could
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, we should we open like a quote book somewhere?
The quote playlist.
Yeah.
Great.
Uncensored
Quote list.
quotes.
Ooh, I think people. Well, if we explain, no, people still won't understand the uncensored
Okay.
quotes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So that was a summer of 2022. What happened next? What was after that?
So after summer 2022, I kind of came back to serving the refugees which are inside the country, which are in our region, which stayed in
Right.
our region, which are connected to our church, who come to our church for help, and who we work with on a constant basis now. But realizing that I have more resources, which would be church,
Right.
resource number one. A pretty major one, you know.
Um,
That resource alone is enough to do a lot of stuff. And then also, I am a young person, which means a lot. I'm young.
Still.
Like, pretty self-explanatory, I guess.
Yeah.
And well, another advantage is because I have two very close friends of mine who are girls, females, and they are. One is 2 years older than me. The other one is 8 months younger than me.
Okay.
But they both are married, and so we are young. We both have churches. Well, all of us, three of us, have church, but they are tied to their families. One of them has a child now. The other one is just married. I don't have the family of my own, and at this point, it gives me a lot of freedom. It's not that family limits them because they do some other stuff which I wouldn't be able to do because I'm alone. But in that case, that is a great advantage.
Yeah.
Because I don't have... With husband, that would be kind of easy because, you know, he's an adult, I'm an adult. But then if I had a child who would be dependent on me, that would be very irresponsible of me. But I don't have a child, so I can do whatever I want.
For now.
No, that's a joke. So, I think since mid-fall, all winter, it was bothering me so much. Like, I was still working with the refugees.
Right.
I was working, I had a job, still worked as a translator. I was doing something, but I was like, man, I could do more.
That's not enough.
That's not enough for me. I was created for more.
Oh, yeah. We all were.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Like, what is... what's that song? Is this a song from a Disney princess of, like, what is my purpose? Or listen to that song on
When
Mulan.
will my reflection show
Yeah.
Stop.
who
Stop.
I am inside?
Exactly. I was feeling like a Mulan.
Yeah.
Oi, like a Mulan, not a Mulan. Sorry. Well, yeah.
Yeah. The clarity was needed. Right.
Beginner's mistake.
Yeah. Sorry.
Totally.
That was really troubling my soul for a while, you know?
Okay.
And it seemed like my life was kind of... the stuff was not connecting, you know? I was like, okay, if I'm not doing more, maybe I could gain some more education. No, maybe I applied to the universities in the US and I got into some of them, but then in one case the sponsorship failed and I'm not able to cover the master's program by myself. Then I was like, okay, maybe God really doesn't want me to stay in Ukraine anymore. Even though I did not want to leave, but I was like, if that's God's will, well, I guess I'll have to follow that. So I was like, okay, let me try to find a job somewhere abroad and travel around the world as a teacher, and because that was one of the professions I was acquiring at university, and I applied to a program which travels around Europe for 2 months, and they have a group of young teachers, and they kind of put them in different classrooms in different circumstances. They kind of train them to become better teachers and gain great experience in like a very short period of time. But that failed for some reason too, and I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm
Give
like,
me some clarity.
Okay.
I have the potential, and it seems like I don't have the room to release that potential. And so one evening, that was end of February, so it's like a year after the full-scale invasion. I come to my parents' bedroom in the evening. We pray together as we usually do, and then I'm like, I'm feeling that in my heart that I really have to tell them because like it's bothering me so much, and I'm like, well, guys, parents,
Time has come.
I have to tell you something. And so I just lay out everything that was bothering my soul for the last few months.
You
And-
vented out pretty good, right?
Yeah, and I was like, I really don't know what to do. Like, I feel sometimes like I want to join the military, but like, look at me. You know, and I'm like, it's a whole... I will never pass for a
Perfect military.
Okay. Another copyright strike.
This Mulan,
Yeah,
I
but
know
see,
she
in
knows
Mulan's
something.
case, she became a warrior
Yeah.
because she was never passed for a perfect bride. I look like I would go better as a bride, not a soldier, you know. with my abilities and stuff.
Yeah, you had to choose something else, right?
And so I'm like,
Bride wasn't an option, right?
Oh, yeah.
exactly. And especially if you take into consideration that army in any country is a very tough environment.
Yeah.
The war adds so much layers into
Yeah.
that toughness and
Totally,
and rage and
totally.
stuff.
Totally.
And I'm like, I grew up in like very, very Christian loving surrounding. My whole life was like that, you know. My whole family is Christian. I grew up in a Christian household. I've been in church since I was born. Even before I was born, my mom would bring me there, you know.
Yes, we basically were born in church, so like
On the church
that's-
bench, you know, that's how they
Yeah.
say it.
Yes,
Kinda.
exactly. Our parents got married in church, so
Yeah.
the foundation of our existence was established in church,
Yeah.
you know.
We came to this
Whoa.
world
Church
from God, you know.
Okay,
Wait,
church bench children.
New movement, you know.
Oh, I like the sound
What
of
did
it.
you wanted to say something? You were like,
No,
oh.
it's just the idea that came out so great. Like I forgot it. Like the foundation of our existence. Oh yeah, the foundation.
Yeah,
of our
the-
existence. Wow.
Good thing it's recorded.
That's-
Good thing it's recording because that was a great thought that just came out of my mouth.
There were some great thoughts, and there still will be. So,
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
Yeah. Do that.
And listen to podcasts uncensored.
So I lay down all my pain, all my
Right.
struggles, and then we talk with parents, and my dad is like, "I'm so glad that you are not happy." No, my dad is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, honey.
Happy your son
Oh
is
yeah, honey, my girl. I'm so happy that you're not happy. As a father,
I dreamed
I
about it my whole life.
I feel accomplished as a father.
I did not fail my job as a father. No,
Okay.
what he said is, I'm glad that you think about doing more and that you
Right.
want to grow and like you want to be a better person.
Yeah,
At the end
yeah.
of the day, you know. But he was like, yeah, just think, pray. We'll think about that too. We'll support you. And then somewhere in between the lines, my mom mentioned her old friend. And she was like, oh yeah, Sasha is her name. She's evacuating civilians from Bakhmut. And
It's Donetsk region, the east of Ukraine.
you can Google
Yeah.
that city as well.
Yeah.
So when she said that, I didn't say that out loud at that second, but I was like, okay, noted.
Mom, you did it
Oh,
yourself.
that was a mistake by your mom.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. We'll
so yeah,
get to that.
basically that woman, she was traveling to pre-frontline and frontline cities, evacuating
Right.
the civilians who were in major danger, needless to say. So she came to our hometown to hear at evening. I accidentally found out about that, and I decided to make an appointment with her, like meet up, talk with her, and I was like, I'm gonna ask her if I could somehow maybe join this whole movement.
Right.
But I was like, okay, God, if I tell her about my desire to join this ministry, I don't want her answer. Okay, not that I don't want her answer to be, but I need to know that this is exactly what you want me to do. And the way I think I'm gonna know it is that when I tell her about what I want, she would say yes because we need that. Not that her answer would be like, if you want, you can come. I was like, if she says like if you want, you can come, then that's a no. Because like you don't go there for entertainment. You don't go there
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're not
sure.
necessary there.
Yeah, you're only.
You only go there if you are ready to get the job done.
Yeah.
And so I appointed a meeting with her. I came to her place. We drink tea. We get to know each other a little bit better because I kind of knew about her from what my mom told me. She didn't actually know me. And
Right.
so we talk, we chat. I tell her a little bit about myself. She tells me about herself and about this ministry. And so at one point I'm like, it's time to ask the question. I was like,
yeah.
so is there any chance maybe I could join you somehow? And then she
In a way?
goes, yeah, I was just talking with the head of our with the head of our organizations that I'm doing
Right.
it under. And he said, Sasha, you need to find a girl who can drive a car, who could help you share the wheel because she had to drive long distances.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
And I came out of that meeting with her. I sit in the car and I'm so uplifted. I'm so happy. I'm like, God, thank you so much. That was pretty straightforward.
The clarity, you know,
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and I'm like, I am
yeah.
dying of happiness, you know?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just feels me. I'm like, oh, this is so amazing. And so I am like so excited because, you know, a few evenings back, I was almost crying to my parents about how I'm so lost. And this time I'm so uplifted. I know what I have to do next. And then I go to that same bedroom and I sit with my parents and I'm like, guys, I'm going to the east of Ukraine. And they're like, oh.
I'm going to the active zone of war.
And they're
And then
like,
my parents are like,
no.
So
No, just no.
So
No,
yeah,
you're not.
in short about Ukrainians, we get excited when we can get like even more involved in all
dangerous
in all the dangerous stuff and all that happens.
not all of us.
Yeah,
Not all of us, but like
Some people who want to do something, to do more, who want to help, who actually want to be useful here, we get more excited if we can do more.
If we can use all our resources, all our potential.
and it's not because we're Ukrainians. It's just because we're in this type of a situation where we don't really have a choice. So
And
we do or we don't.
Yep, exactly. Sasha, she was working with an organization,
Right.
and they had a great mechanism of sponsors from abroad supporting them, and they had a great logistics established already. So it was it is a great organization, and I worked with them for a month, I think. Well, I didn't work with them officially. I was just helping her,
Right.
but I was not in any way officially involved in that.
Right.
I was not
Employed.
What is that?
not that because they don't pay. It's
Yeah.
it's
The
a
salary, okay.
it's a volunteer organization,
Okay.
but they're still like more
Official or something like
yeah.
official?
But I was not connected to them in any way. I was just connected to my partner because my main duty was to help her out.
Right.
So, and our main duty basically was to evacuate the civilians, because this is what this organization was majorly focusing on. They were focusing on evacuating the civilians, helping the civilians. They would help those soldiers who were somehow connected to them, because before the full-scale invasion, this organization was serving, and they still are, serving the families. What is that term in English? Well, basically, families who take more kids into their house.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
From
The
orphanages.
foster families.
Yes, foster families, right. So, and then they would help those soldiers who were somehow connected to some of the foster families or
Right.
foster houses, which we have
Right.
Yeah.
in Ukraine. And so I was just traveling with Sasha for a month. And then on one of our trips, she had to leave earlier. And another dude from that organization came to join me, because it's not the best idea to do all of that alone and travel
Yeah.
around those areas alone.
It's dangerous.
So but before Sasha left, we were working in a pre-frontline city called Chasiv Yar, which you can also Google.
Yeah. We will
It
put
is
the map.
it is located on the second line of defense. So do we need to explain to the viewers how?
There are the
Four types.
0.
0, 1,
Well,
2.
I don't know
two.
if that is an international understanding.
Well, that's
I
Uh,
think so.
We don't even know if it's official. It's just how we
Yeah.
sort
Well,
it out.
basically, okay. Let's go with a more official one. Probably. So we have a red zone, which would be
Yes.
Zero's first line of defense. Then we have
Yeah.
a yellow zone, which is a second line of defense, and a third line of defense. And then green zone is everything
Everything else.
the rest of the country.
Yeah.
So Chasiv Yar is located in the red zone, the second line of defense. And so since it is so close to the green and the green zone, so since it is so close to what's the color? Червоний. Red.
Red. So the Chasiv Yar is in yellow zone.
Yes. And since it is so close to red zone,
Yes.
Yeah.
there are soldiers who locate there, apart from civilians who live there.
Right.
And so we would go there to evacuate the civilians, but it is impossible to avoid communicating with the soldiers.
Right.
And so we would, so that organization would help supply us with water and some basic stuff like the wet napkins, some basic medicine, and like painkillers or some pills for headache or something.
Right.
And then those who calm your nerves as well. And all the
Sedatives,
panic
some
attacks,
kind of
not
sedatives.
panic attacks, but anyway, all
Yeah.
they're mostly old people who live in such cities as Chasiv Yar, who refuse to
Leave.
Yeah, who refuse to leave because they lived there their whole life, and they're like, I don't want to go into some place that I don't know, which is a whole different conversation. Yeah, about
It is.
so, and sometimes we would stop, we would share some water with the soldiers and stuff, give them some food or some snacks that we would have with us. And so at the end of my first month of working with Sasha, I met with a group of soldiers. That sounds funny. Like I forgot the term. I forgot the term, but it's like no, not a battalion, because battalion is a lot of people.
Squad.
Yeah.
It's more like a small unit of 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, more like
Like the word, which is like refers to a unit of soldiers from 15 to 40 people, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
And I came there one of many times we came into the city. I met them by accident. It was just like they were so nice, and they were like so talkative and open to
cool.
like conversation. And I had some more stuff with me that time because I communicated with youth from my church, and I was like, hey guys, I have a great event slash
Need.
humanitarian project that we could do. It's like, let's all, I can give you the list of, because I travel to those places, I know what the soldiers need. I can give you the list, I can give you the number, the quantity of those things, how much of them we need, and you can buy them, you can send them over to me, and I'll give it to the soldiers. So they helped purchase some cooler stuff like socks, underwear, more underwear, again, snacks, then some specific medicine, which are specific for the soldiers, not the civilians.
Right.
Then what else? Well, not a lot of food. I even forgot what we gathered for them. But still, that was like not those basics that all volunteers have with them. And I just met up with those guys, and they were first of all, they were shocked that we, even with that, like they were like, wow, that's for us. I remember I opened one box for them, and one literally was like, whoa. That was his reaction.
Oh, cool.
And so we communicated with them. They were so nice. And then one guy said to me like, wow, our mood got so much better since you, like, because you came to us.
That's great.
And so then we left, and we were driving around the city doing other stuff, and I was like, I don't have any contact with them, and like, and next time I come, there's no guarantee that they'll still be here, because they move out, they move in, move out, they
Rotate
move
a lot.
Yes, there's a lot of movement happening in their life, and I was like, but I don't want to lose contact with them. Like, I just had it in my heart that, Diana, you have to do something. You have to do something more for them. And so
I should return and get them.
and that was on the day I was supposed to leave to back home, because I spent a lot of time there, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? And so
because there's not a lot of time.
Yeah, because like I already left them, and like the next day I'm leaving, so no chance I'm going to meet them again. In my alive. And I'm like, oh no. And so I tell my partner, I was like, okay, because she was supposed to stay there still, and I was like, okay, next time you go here, please go to those guys and give them my phone number and exchange the contacts so that I can stay in touch with them. She was like, well, we can go back to them now. I was like, oh
really?
Oh, it is a possibility.
Okay.
So we went we went back. I came and I was like, I remember they were sitting outside, and I approached them, and like they already can see me, but I'm too far away to start talking to them. And I'm walking towards them, like, I wonder what they think. They're looking at me, and I come up to them, and I was like, guys, I started missing you so much, I decided to come back. Yeah, and they started laughing, and the connection was established right away. Anyway, we exchanged the contact.
Yeah.
And so, and a few days after that, one of them, who I think he's responsible for keeping the track of all the things that they lose, what they need.
Right.
Yeah.
So he contacted me and asked if I could help with repairing the car, because the car was broken, and they had all the details that they need to fix it, but they were not able to cover the cost of the work
Right.
that was supposed to be done. So I had some money on my hands, and I was like, yeah, sure, I can cover that. And then I was like, well, maybe you need something more. Maybe you need something else. I think I can help you out.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah, and then he was like, well, we were thinking that would be good to have like a box of tools for a car.
Oh,
And I looked it up, and it was about 3,000 Ukrainian currency,
hryvnias.
which is, knowing how expensive everything that's related to war
Yeah,
is.
it's less than $100. So
Yeah, it's less than $100. So, and I was like,
Yeah.
sure, maybe something else. And then he's like, well, on what help can we count?
okay.
I was like, that's a good
Okay,
question.
that's yeah.
I was like,
that's
well,
a good
look,
question.
anything except for weapons, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Well,
Would have been nice to be able for all the volunteers to get like F-16 or something of the kind.
Yeah.
It would be great. Just go to America, fly.
Yeah, and then when when it crosses the border and they ask you like, what do you need it for? Personal purposes.
yeah, sure, yeah.
And I was like, guys, just So I told them like, give me the list of things you need and we'll figure it out. So they sent me out a list. My enthusiasm dropped a little bit because I realized like,
Wow,
things are
that bad.
way more complicated than I thought it would be. But then again, I showed that list to my church and I was like, guys, so I met amazing people there. They do such an important job and they're very open to conversation.
Right.
We as a church, we have to make sure that their souls are saved, but a major way to reach their hearts is through helping them save their lives right now and save our lives as well, because that's what they do. They protect us. So if they are protected, if they're safe, we are safe. That's another thing they told me. They were like, I was telling them like, yeah, guys, thank you so much. You do such an important job. And and one guy said, well, as long as we're fine, you'll be fine. So it is then
that is true.
It is my responsibility. It is our responsibility to make sure they are fine. Even for personal interests, to make sure we stay alive as well. And so ever since then, that started in, I think I met them in like beginning of April. So April, May, June, July. 2023.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
April, May, June, July, August, September. 7 months.
Wow.
Wow,
Great.
That's a lot.
Yeah. When we reach 1 year
Sure.
anniversary, I'll go over to them and celebrate them.
Oh yeah. Well, we hope that you won't have to go to them, and the war will end by that time. But
You'll meet here.
That's very unlikely, though.
Yeah.
well, yeah. We pray for that, and the rest is in God's hand. So basically, you went there to help the remaining people on that territory.
Yeah, that was what I was doing in March, and then
Right.
beginning of April, Sasha, who I was
Yes.
working with, she was not, for some important, valid reasons, she was not able to continue.
Mhm.
And I decided for myself that I saw more meaning in helping the army and supporting the military who actually needed that help, because the civilians who are left there, the volunteers,
Supply them
especially
well, right?
international volunteers, supply them with everything they have. Yes, they live in terrible conditions still. They don't have electricity, they don't
But-
have heat.
But that's oftentimes is their choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
so-
choose it.
They have they're provided with food.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and many people help them so much.
Yeah.
The international volunteers who work there, they are mostly 99% of the time they're focused on helping civilians.
Right. Do military help the locals?
Yes, as well. So
How do they do that? Like a little bit.
yeah, a little bit
they-
about this.
they share their food with them, water with them. They help. So in case if there's like a missile hit, they give the aid that they need,
Right.
the medical aid that they need. Sometimes they even evacuate them if they need the evacuation. Like they can bring them out to safer cities.
Right.
So they are the locals there are surrounded with all kinds of help
Right.
that
Right.
they need. So,
So-
I was like, a great resources go into serving those people. I see more meaning in for myself. I was like, I want to use resources I have for helping the military, because they're the ones who are protecting me.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are sacrificing their comfort, their health.
Everything.
And
Their
their
future,
and
their
their lives.
life.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
families, because a lot of them left their families back
Yeah.
home.
So I better help them.
Yeah. So the initial thoughts, the initial mission of yours was to come and help the locals, but when you got there, you kind of decided to change the perspective of
The
your work.
direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the direction, and you switched to mostly helping the military.
Mm-hmm.
As a Christian, like the question is, should we, as Christians, support the military?
Yeah, and
Should we even be involved
with
with them with anything that has
And-
anything to do with
and
war?
is there like a perspective in international support for military,
Yes.
not for the civilians, not only but for military?
Well, so in regards to Christians, well, let's talk about Christians in Ukraine now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's not even a question if we have to. 100% yes. It is our obligation.
Yeah.
Because so basically what it is right now, for some people who don't know, it is an invasion. So one country, which is Russia, with no valid reasons, only the made up reasons. So no valid reasons.
And no regard for lives, ours, or even
Anything.
their own soldiers. They have
So
no
they
regard
came,
for this.
They came into our country and they started invading it. They started killing people, civilians,
Destroying our homes,
Yeah.
our land, everyone's
destroying,
children.
crushing, raping, stealing.
Yeah.
What our soldiers do is they try to protect us from that.
Right.
So, what is the logical response of me as a Christian?
Yeah. And
I support those who protect me.
yeah, because why it's interesting, because I often hear from Christians like, I will only support civilians, and the reason why, because soldiers, well, they're soldiers, they're killing people and other stuff, but the thing is, most of the soldiers before the even invasion, they were civilians.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, we have this command in the Bible which says, "Do not kill," and
Right.
it does say so, and it does
Yes.
say "do not kill," but people often misinterpret this command, meaning, and they think that it means do not take other person's life under any,
Any
circumstance.
Right.
While it means do not unalive a person with like no reason for that. Like just
Right.
with an
don't
evil
play God.
motive.
Like your life should end right now.
Yeah, or just
Or
with an
whatever
evil
the
motive,
means of
right,
killing
right.
you use. I use seven. Oh yeah. No. I don't.
You don't
kill.
stop. You don't usually go around
Ooh.
stabbing people, right? No.
No.
No, that's not the part of
Oh
your
wow!
volunteering. Okay.
It's getting hot in here, right?
Oh,
That's a
Censor
hot
part.
intro.
Wow, that's
Are
a
you
hot
stabbing?
topic. That's a hot topic.
So
Okay, yeah.
the Bible means in that command. The Bible means do not kill if you for no reason.
Yeah.
In our case, so what Russians are doing is killing exactly because there is no reason
Murdering,
for
yeah.
them to take our lives from us.
Right.
Yes.
We never did anything to them basically. Whatever their propaganda says.
That's
And then
another
what
topic.
our soldiers doing is they are destroying the enemy. So
Yes.
Right.
they're not killing, they're destroying. It's
They're
two completely different things. They're protecting, right?
Yeah, they're protecting.
And sometimes in the weapon conflict,
Yes.
sometimes you gotta use a weapon to protect.
Yes.
even
especially-
yourself.
Yes, exactly. First of all, for soldiers, first of all, they're self-defending because if they defend
You
themselves.
kill or you
because-
get killed.
Yes, exactly. And another thing is, the Bible says that we have 10 commands. We have
Right.
many other commands in the Bible.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
two most important ones is that you love God and you love your
You need-
close ones.
Yes.
Right.
And so the situation we have in Ukraine right now is that Russia came here and they are killing
Our neighbors, right? Our close
yes,
ones.
my neighbors. So, if I focus on not killing anybody and on loving and forgiving my enemy, then what I'm doing is I'm failing to fulfill the second most important
So-
command of loving our neighbor.
That is not a godly response to
Yes.
to the
Absolutely not.
actions that are being done to us.
Yes, because also Bible says, rejoice with those who are joyful and weep with those who are weeping.
Right.
Because that's what we as Christians we're supposed to do. We can't just stay silent. We can't just say, oh, it's not our war, it's not about us, not about church, we're just existing as our like community, that's it, or we're just helping the civilians, just the refugees. No, these people are also the people that God wants to reach as well. And who else if not us can actually help these people find God? Who else?
Especially since they're very vulnerable because of war.
Right. And if we're not, we talked about that earlier, if we're not afraid of death because we know that we're not actually dying, we're just
Right.
going to God, then, and they are not. Their most, like, the brightest perspective is to go to hell, and the only perspective. But and we're not doing anything to change that, then that's not a godly response. That's not the way God wants us to
Yeah,
respond.
we're not doing his
children.
job.
Yes.
We're not doing his work that
Fulfilling his commitments.
yes that he put us to do.
Yeah.
That's a deep topic, and I think that we will have an entirely separate episode on like
Specifically for that, right?
yeah specifically for this theme, like Christians and war, Christians
Yeah.
on war, Christians during the war, because actually there are a lot of pastors that are serving as a military, not as a chaplains,
Yeah.
but as a military.
Military.
And that is a whole another topic to talk about, because I think a lot of people in Ukraine and abroad just don't get it, the importance of us Christians being present in these times, present here and there.
In the lives of our people.
Yeah.
These are our people,
Our country, our people, the society we live in. our neighbors.
Because you know how it works. Like if they were the same man, they are not now soldiers. They were civilians. We would reach out to them. But now that they are soldiers, no, 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 no. We're not going to reach out. No, no, no.
And most of them became
have rubber
soldiers just what, year and a half ago.
To protect their families, to protect all of us. You know, and that's selfish. You know, not to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the war, so you know how we can never know God for who he actually is. It's always
Early.
of how we interpret him, how we understand him, and understanding of God even varies based on culture or continent or
totally.
your community. So I think war is such a major and massive event. So it is impossible to stay unchanged.
Yeah.
If you experience war. And I think with war comes a whole different understanding of God. And
Christianity.
And Christianity as well, and what the Bible teaches us, you know.
Right.
And so here's the point where we start to think of things like, is, you know, we sometimes we try to adapt what the Bible says to our own beliefs. And you know, this same text, do not kill. Some people take it to say, I cannot go to war because I can't kill. Others say, well, but my loved ones are suffering, I have to protect them. So it's a different interpretation of even that. And so I think it is understandable why people who do not experience that cannot understand that, because if you live in peace, you still perceive God as only merciful and loving and forgiving and all accepting, and he is all of that, but he's also much more.
Yeah.
And some of those things are opening to us right now.
And actually, I just remembered, you all know the story about the story Jesus told about the Good Shepherd.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Good Shepherd did. He went to war. He went to war for the soul of the lost sheep. Because, I mean, if you interpret it in the reality we live in, Ukraine, war, Russia, this and that, this is what Jesus would do. And this is what we do. We as Christians, we go and we fight for the lost souls. We fight for our lives. We fight for our families.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, basically that is God's work, you know.
Yeah. So, now that we talked a little bit about your volunteering, let's talk more about the personal life, about this side of your life, you know. How do you even combine, you know, your regular life in volunteering? Because it's like living in two different worlds.
Yeah, how do you find the balance?
I don't have a balance.
Okay.
Well, since it's been it's been a while since I started doing volunteering, but the intense part of it is only about 6 months.
I just love your counting.
So I think I'm still figuring this out, because a lot of things changed. So when I started volunteering as a, let's call it a pre-frontline volunteer.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a job as a translator, and then a couple of months after I started doing that, I was fired. A sad story.
Wow.
And I was workless.
What for?
Huh?
What were you fired for? Or is it
It's a long
Or
story.
is it it's confidential?
It's a long story.
Okay.
So I was workless, jobless for a few months then, and then I also like do some studying and some ministry in the church, is still like youth ministry,
Right.
worship group and stuff, and so many things, plus volunteering. So it is complicated to find balance, and
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes always I'm struggling with that ever since March of 2023. But the most important thing I did is I established to all of the people I serve with is that I am very I can disappear at any moment, you know. So
Okay.
I plan with them. I offer my help whenever I can, but I warned them that sometimes I can, you know,
Leave
I would come to our team meeting and I would be like, guys, I'm leaving like a week. So they all are aware of that now, and they know how I can disappear and then appear again, and disappear again.
Do you do some like sorcery or something?
I hope not. I hope not.
Yes. So this is how it goes now. Still figuring a lot of things out. So I
Right.
guess I don't have a full, beautiful answer to this question.
Okay. Yeah. No quotes today, at least for this question.
Yeah, no great quotes. I need a great quote.
Okay, so like aside from volunteering, helping the military and all of that, like we still have, you know, like normal lives even in the midst of this war. We still like, you know, need to work, need to dream, need to plan. Like what are your thoughts on this? Like, do you plan ahead? Do you still dream? Like maybe you wanna, I don't know, try something new still, and yeah, just share with us.
Yeah, or you have some plans for the future, you know, aside volunteering.
Maybe a career change, for
Yeah.
example.
Something like that.
Well, good question. I think
I bet it is.
I think after I got involved in volunteering, like a pre-frontline volunteering,
Right.
I think that was the time when I lost a lot of, not a lot of, I just lost the ability to dream, I think. You know, in a sense of dream being like, you know, oh, I dream about building a house one day, you know, something. I don't have that. I would say I have something that I want to accomplish, but not dreams.
Right.
Which
Right.
is at first I was like, oh man, that's so sad, like I don't have a dream. But then well, you know, dream is something less it's more abstract and it's less concrete. While your goals or some of your plans is like more straightforward, more realistic.
Right.
So
Yeah. No rainbows or unicorns.
absolutely not.
Yeah. Not
But,
anymore.
But another thing is, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but this is something I do. Is I don't think and I don't plan my life as if the war is going to end soon,
Right.
because we don't know when it's going to end. So
You're right.
here I do have a rule, and it is think in the frames of your reality. So my reality is war. So I have to kind of plan my life as much as I can in accordance to war. I
Right.
have to think about what I'm doing, where I'm involved in, based on the state of my country, which is it's in
Yeah.
war at the moment.
Yeah. So no matter what happens, you always know how to react, what to do, and such and such.
Yes, exactly. And I'll be acting in accordance to the context I'm living in. So
Right.
Are there any goals or accomplishments you wish to reach sometime soon?
in regards to volunteering or like personal life
In general.
in general. Good good question.
Maybe you're thinking about career development or something.
Career development. Well, in terms of volunteering, I guess oh no, not in terms of volunteering. In terms of personal life, no. Because, you know, I am still figuring out my new job and ministries. This is my personal life. I just think of like war is going to go for a long time,
Right.
most likely. So nothing like that. Most of my plans that I have are in regards to something that I do
Yeah.
for the military or in volunteering in general.
Mm-hmm.
So but in regards to volunteering, I have some
Plans?
plan in my head of praying that it might become a reality. is
Okay.
is that I want to study. I am already studying medicine and
Cool.
the tactical medicine, which is
Okay.
a special
Yeah.
a special kind of medicine.
Yeah,
And
it is.
in hopes to become a combat medic hopefully in the nearest future.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's quite a
That's-
goal.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
bold.
Yeah, it is.
and so the battalion I am hoping to join is on a complete voluntary foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it means that I'll be more free to do whatever I want with my life. So I'm not tied to them legally.
Okay.
Meaning there are no documents or contracts. We don't sign it. There's no contract.
Right.
So, which is, you know, I still consider that to be volunteering because this is something you do.
Yeah.
Like it is kind of a job, but you don't get paid. You just serve. And the way the battalion works is that you serve at the front line for a while, and then you get some free time. So it'll be possible for me to combine it with helping the military. Because you know, I once told them like, guys, I'm not going to leave you till this war ends, and I'm like, okay, so if I do some career move, I should like include my promise to the guys. Like
Yeah.
I cannot do something.
And I guess they were pretty happy. Yeah.
They don't know yet.
Oh.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna tell them. I don't know. I was thinking about doing an epic entrance or like coming to visit them already in like a uniform.
Oh.
With like the chevron,
Badge.
badges,
the
yeah.
badges on my shoulders. Be like, guys, by the way,
You need
going
some,
to
and you need some like background music, you know, like
yeah,
some banners.
like- oh, and I want to make a custom plates on my car. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Medic?
I'm I'm already thinking about my call sign,
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh.
but I don't have any ideas yet.
Well, oh, trust me, I'm sure guys will have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
That's one of their specialties.
Yeah, but one thing, like, I don't have nothing against this word, but I don't want my call sign to be Stunde. I
Okay.
will
Yeah.
ban this from no, it's
Okay.
a taboo.
Okay, so I guess we just need to explain this. It's a word that originates from German, actually, because Christians, Austrians that were living on the territory of Ukraine.
Yeah, the missionaries.
The missionaries and such, they were gathering at a certain hour. It's
For 1 hour.
Yeah,
Stunde, eine Stunde.
Eine Stunde, yes. And the locals just started to call the Christians, these missionaries and whoever joined them, Stunde.
And it's almost like a sect, you know, like you're a part
They
of a
were
sect.
at least they were comparing it to like
Yes.
sect.
Or a
That's
cult.
the meaning they were implying.
Yes.
And so it should have been offensive, but I guess that's just I don't know how we Ukrainians
in our
work.
culture-
We started to use this term ourselves, and we call each other this.
Sometimes
I think there was a time, maybe in the early 2000s, when this word was used by people as an insult,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was perceived by Christians as something, not the nicest way to
Yeah.
call us.
Right.
But today I think we are fine with that word.
Yeah.
And when people call us stundas, they also
Yeah.
don't imply that they want to offend us.
You know when people call like me or my church tundas, I just say, yeah, I know we are, we totally are. Like, yeah, you didn't
No
like.
offense.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine for you to call it. We call ourselves that. So I don't know.
We made it into a joke.
Yep.
Into a nickname.
We just turned it into a joke.
Yep. Okay, so back to your career move. And
Well, career move.
sort of like that. I
Sort of
you're
like
hoping
that.
for
Yeah.
that to be so. We would love for you to repeat a story of how your parents first find out about that.
Yeah.
found
Because
out,
like we know, the benefits of being friends and preparing for the episodes. You get to hear a lot of stuff like before. Beforehand. Yeah. So tell us the story.
So,
Pretty long.
long story short, I got this idea of being involved in medicine in regards to war
Right.
about a few months after the full-scale invasion.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me almost a year to work it through, to make sure that it was not an emotional move. I wasn't making because like, oh, everybody's doing something, like I have to do something,
Just to hype.
Yeah, and the guys are in the trenches, and I'm like, and I'm here, like I feel the guilt. So I wanted to make sure that it was not an emotional decision. It was not a decision that was based on the feeling of guilt or the. In Ukrainian, we have this term, which I'm going to translate it to English, but it basically, so it's called the syndrome of the one who survived.
Okay.
Syndrome выжившего. Meaning you feel the guilt for being safe, for being alive, for being healthy,
Right.
Because others died. The people that were together with you, they died.
So
a lot of people have that.
We could feel guilt for, I don't know, for having peace in our town because many towns don't have that peace. Or I can feel shame for, or I can feel guilt for having both legs because some men, boys, kids even, they don't have their legs. So I wanted to make sure that this decision is not based on the feeling of guilt, and make sure that I don't have this feeling at all. And then also that was not an emotional of meaning like everybody's doing something, I have to do something. Because I knew I had to find the area where I would be the most effective.
Right.
So it took me a whole year, and then I was thinking, I was reading about that a lot, like what combat medics do, what are their duties, what is the specification of their job. And at first I was like, okay, maybe that's not really for me, because in the army, if you like it or not, you will be spending most of the time around men, because 90%
Right.
or so, the majority of the army are men.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought, like, oh, I grew up in a very Christian household. Like, I'm so naive. I was so naive, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm not prepared for this. Also, I thought that I will not be able to live in the conditions that the soldiers and stuff have to live in. And so there were many doubts, and I was like, kind of postponing this decision, but still having that in like a very, very back corner of my head.
Right.
And so then I got into a pre-frontline volunteering, and I got to experience living in not always the best conditions, which is, it's not usually as long as the soldiers live in those conditions, but still I get the taste. And I was like, well, it's not that bad as I thought it would be. Like, it is difficult, but taking into consideration that what the work I am doing, it's totally worth it. I can power through. And then also, since I am helping the military, it means that I'm spending a lot of time around men. So I was like, okay, it's not that scary as I thought it would be, because the guys are pretty nice. Yeah. So then one evening I was laying in my bed, no sleep in my eyes, and I was like, I just had this crazy, like, you know, the thought just crossed my mind, and I was laying like this on my back, and then I turned and I hide my face in the pillow, and I'm like praying in my mind, okay, God, like, I understand what you're doing there right now. I think I'm gonna have to tell my parents.
Okay.
And so the next morning we have, so my mom made a pie, and I was like,
That's the moment,
unknowingly, what awaits her.
yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, that would be a great
time, right?
great time. So I was like, do you want to maybe drink tea together? That's what I told my parents. They were like, yeah, sure.
I should have gotten suspicious right away.
Yeah, we do that. We do it all the time, because you know. So I they did not expect no, a thing. They were so unaware of what was about to come. So we sit down, we drink tea. They talk about some one stuff, and I'm sitting there and like I can't hide my smile. I'm like I'm so uplifted and happy. You know?
Oh man.
And so I was like, parents, I'm even laughing as I'm telling this. I was like, parents, I want you to listen to me very closely. I have something really important I have to tell you. And
Okay, that's suspicious.
and my mom was like, are you getting married? I was like, no. Do you want to become a combat medic? And my dad was like, let her finish. So she like knew right away. Oh, no, before that she said like, so she's like, are you getting married? I'm like, no. Do you want to become a combat medic? I object. And then my dad was like, no, let her finish. So I was like, well, yes, Mom, I do want to become. And then I explained them the whole, you know, the plan that I have. And my mom was like looking at my dad like,
Tell her you're there, right?
Okay. So you need to tell her that she's not doing this.
yeah, she probably was stepping on his foot.
Oh yeah. Say something.
Stop her.
Talk her out of it.
Yeah. Well, my mom was like, so usually she's the one who is more emotional, and my dad is like,
right.
Okay, but this time, my mom was like, you know, we had this conversation, and so then we get up, and my mom is like doing some other stuff, and my dad is like, he was like, zoomed out, zoned out whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he was like that for a couple of days, I think.
Whoa.
What did you do to your parents? They love you so much.
Yeah. So.
Oh my god.
Well, at least I'm grateful.
Yeah, but now,
didn't Bible say to care of your parents, take care of your parents, huh?
well,
What are you doing?
well,
Yeah.
I'm doing. Oh yeah.
You're doing the best for your country.
Yeah, I do take care of my parents, because if I keep my country safe, if I help keeping my country safe, if I help keep my country safe, my parents will be saved. So, yeah, but I think now my dad kind of is getting used to this idea, while
Right.
my mom, she's kind of starts to realize that, and sometimes we'll be like driving in the car, and she'll be like, you know, you could become a great psychologist. Like, why would you study psychology? And I'm like, Mom, you're not going to stop me. And then she sometimes, like, she sends me those videos on Instagram with, about combat medics, and, like, with all the pictures of what they're dealing with.
Okay.
And she's like, this is what combat medics do. And I'm like, I know. Like, so it's very tough. And I'm like, I know, I'm prepared.
So she went all out, like a full warfare against this idea.
But she's different, because my dad is like, he does not express his objection, because he realizes that he basically cannot object.
Gonna stop you, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
it's the matter of you accept this decision or you don't, which they're most likely to. I think they already accepted it. It's just that it's still hard for them to process it internally.
I mean, you know, of course, none of us are parents, but like, if you would just imagine, what would you feel if your child was telling you that okay, she's gonna become a combat medic, and she's gonna go to the front lines,
Into the red zone.
into the red zone, into the heat of danger, into the heat of war.
And might even die, so it's
Yeah, so like
there.
I don't know. I guess parents have all the rights to
Because
be worried and to be against this idea,
To
but
some extent, right?
Because it's
Yeah,
the
but-
parents' instinct.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
parents' instinct
yeah.
is to always make sure your child is safe.
yes, to
Yes,
protect the children.
And when the children put themselves in danger, parents are like, wait a second.
Yeah, because like no parents really want to bury their children before they
Right.
go. They want
Yes.
to go. They usually want to go first because that's how the life should go.
it is under the usual circumstances.
Yes.
While
Yeah,
Sometimes
we're
different.
we're not
Times are
living in usual circumstances anymore.
yeah, so unusual circumstances require unusual decisions to be made.
And I
With-
guess
With great power comes great responsibility.
oh my god.
A quote. There it is.
Oh my god.
I
But
like
that-
Spider-Man.
Not personal.
Yeah. We know that.
Yeah.
I guess that's weird for our like foreign viewers and listeners because we talk about this so casually at this point, like more than year and a half into the like full scale war, we're so easily talking about like death and like I mean yeah sure I could die any second, like yeah sure but whatever, like I'm pretty sure it's like from some point of view it's not healthy, but it's the reality we live in. We just
I wouldn't
don't.
say so. It's not healthy. I would say it is a better thing than to be scared of dying because that's the way you protect yourself mentally. I think.
Well, yeah, kind of, but I mean, I'm talking about when we don't talk things out with with people who are willing to listen to you, like when you just cope everything inside of you and you're just fine, it's okay, like I mean that whatever, it's just war, it's not just war, like I'm talking about that we're getting used to it, we're getting used to war, we're getting used to death, and like okay, like a few days ago 42 people died, and if I remember correctly, because of the missile strike, and among them was a 6-year-old girl. And like at this point, I mean, yes, everyone like, wow, that's horrible, that's like a child died, but at this point so many children died that subconsciously we just don't like get triggered as much as we used to year and a half. Like just try to remember what were your like emotions when the great war started. Like every piece of information, every piece of like news, we were reacting like, oh my god, what is happening? It was so in your face, and the emotions were through the roof. But now we're just like, we got used to it, like it's life, and I'm just saying that's the reality we live in. But we as Christians, we should not be getting used to it, because it's not normal, it's not okay for people to die just because some tyrant decided that he wants a piece of earth and such. And I'm just saying that we should like, we should think about this, and we should reflect on this and share with people who would understand and people who would not understand, exactly because they need to hear it. Like the reason we are doing this podcast is to share the emotions the emotions we have, the circumstances we live in, everything we're going through. That's why we're doing this, to share, to remind people that the war is still still on. It's still going. It's not okay for people to die. It's not okay for little children to die because we're just got used to it, you know?
But I would not agree with with us getting used to it in the sense that well, maybe it depends on people, but kids' deaths still triggers me. Like if there is a
Right.
child killed among to this day, it still triggers me. And then I would also say I would not say that people got used to it in the sense that they got indifferent, like, oh yeah, just
Right,
another
right.
missile attack. I think it is different because in the beginning of the full scale invasion, what we felt is when such things would happen, we would feel shock of how it is possible for humans to commit something like that. While
Right.
now, I
Yeah.
am personally not surprised that
Yeah, that's
they
true.
they purposely hit the places where there are no military, just civilians. It does not surprise me, but I'm still heartbroken because of how many people are dying.
Yeah.
And it is still so. That's something people are not getting used to because, well, that's what I get a feeling of, and
Right.
it's just that emotions that we're experiencing are different. So we are not shocked by what they're doing, but rather we are very saddened and broken because of how many lives among civilians only we lose, and also I think our hate deepens as well with each missile attack like this. It's like another reason for hate to grow.
Right.
Yeah, so like
Like-
the feeling of injustice
Yeah.
goes deeper.
I guess like what we just discussed proves that you could call it that Ukrainians grew up in a sense emotionally
Mm-hmm.
because of this war, and a lot have changed. And I mean, yeah, I do agree with you. That's how things are.
The reality, Villian.
Yeah. Okay, that was gruesome.
Yeah.
But well, yeah, we need to share this. We need to talk about this because not to tell that everyone forgot about Ukraine and stuff, but I hear from different people from abroad, like from foreigners,
we're
that
getting used to it, and the world is getting used to it as well.
yes, that's the reason we're starting this podcast. That's the reason we're talking about this, and that's the reason we will continue and bring new guests and talk about different things.
I think we're just, trying to remind that these events unravel in lives of real people.
Yeah.
Like us. It's not just a story, not just a piece of news, not a movie. It's someone's lives, someone's present, and someone's future. So, and it's important to remember that
Yeah.
it's about real people.
Because if you think about it, a human being is a whole separate world in its own.
Mm-hmm.
And a person dying, it means a whole separate world dying. And right now, not just in Ukraine, but like all over the world, there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of worlds dying. And I mean, I guess we're just not talking enough about this and not doing enough about this. And yeah, that's why we're here to change it at least a little bit.
So, we're grateful to Diana for being with us on this first episode, for going through these not very easy task of doing the very first
Yeah.
interview and being preparing all this. But yeah, I'm really glad that we're doing that, and that there are people like you, and that there are people in our amidst us whom we can admire. People who deserve to be known about, and that like it also reminds us that you don't need to do some great gestures, to do something drastic, I don't know, something big, to become a person worth admiring, worth knowing,
Yeah.
and worth respecting. It's just the matter of knowing who you are, that you're a Christian, knowing your context, and knowing your resources, and combining all that, you can make your own story.
With God alongside.
Yeah. That's a great formula. I came up with it on one trip because usually it's a volunteering trip, and then on my way home I usually think about it a lot because I'm so terrible at expressing my emotions. That is what my mom would be like. Oh, when was the last time you cried? I'm like, I can't remember.
Wow.
You're like overthinker,
Yeah,
right?
but then
Yeah.
when you do such job, you get very emotionally overwhelmed.
Right.
And so I have like a notebook where I write down my thoughts. And
Okay.
it's one form of therapy, but I still think that I have to learn how to cry eventually. But anyway,
I guess you will when all of this ends, you know.
Maybe those will be the tears of happiness, you know.
But I think those would be more likely tears of tiresome
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like
Or all together, you know.
and grief, of
Just
course.
the
Yeah.
overwhelming of emotions, you know.
Yeah. So it's usually for me the road back home is when I think about what just happened. And so once I was like, how do you figure out the place? How did I figure out the place I have to be right now? And I was like, well, I am a Christian, so that's kind of that's my status, that's my worldview, basically.
Right.
And I was like, okay, then another reason is I analyzed the resources I have. So for me, that would be what we talked about earlier is church,
Right.
and my youth, and then my brain, so that I'm able to think, I'm able to analyze, I'm able to remember, I'm able to make decisions, I'm able to evaluate, and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the third part was the context. So the context is there is a war in my country. So combining all of that, like I am a Christian with church, young, free, is smart, not to brag.
brag about it, right?
Okay. Okay.
And there's war happening in my country. What should I do? Probably I have to be somewhere where I can use all of those resources.
Somewhere
fullest.
where you can be useful.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean like it doesn't apply equally or the same for like
It doesn't mean that
different
everybody
people.
has to become a volunteer and like travel to
medic,
dangerous
or
Or a
areas.
medic or a military.
It's because again I'm saying take your own status,
Yeah.
analyze your own resources that you have,
Yes.
and then take the context. So I think for us the resources part is what will differ.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So analyze that, and then you'll figure out the spot where you have to be.
Yeah. Be useful in your field. Okay. So yeah, that wraps it up. And you've been listening or watching the podcast Uncensored. I'm Yuri,
I'm Ina.
and this is our dear guest Diana. And I guess we'll
See you on the next episode.
yeah.
Bye.